A Plaguelands Media production.
Hey everyone, this is Hugh from Plaguelands Media bringing you another book review. This time it is a special festive Christmas gift to my good friends at Plaguelands Media, Mr. Ian Van Gammett and Dr. Luke Carman. Two of the greatest fucking people I know. But you know what? I'm going to share this with all of you out there in YouTube land because fuck it, it's the holidays. Cheers. I am bringing you one of the scariest horror novels I have ever read in my life. This is the sequel to Garth Marenghi's Terror Tome, Garth Marenghi's Incarerat. Now, this book is fucking scary. That's all I could say. The imagery that Garth Marenghi manages to invoke is just horrific. The plot lines are ball-shrivelingly scary. When you read it with the lights on. I mean, if you read it with the lights off, technically you can't actually read it, but you know what? Who fucking cares? I said what I said. Fucking deal with it. This book is a fucking masterpiece. I'm not going to go into too many spoilers purely because I would be doing Garth Marenghi a disservice if you didn't go out and buy his book. If you are in England and you happen to run into him, get him to sign it. These things are going to be worth a fortune signed in the future. Trust me, you are going to absolutely want this. So, with that said, those of you that don't know who Garth Marenghi is, well, you've been living with your head under a fucking rock, people. Garth Marenghi created one of the greatest horror television shows of the 80s, Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. Didn't run for very long. A lot of the film footage actually got destroyed. If you want to know more, go and look it up. Go and buy the DVD collection. Hey, there's probably even a VHS collection out there somewhere. But all you need to know is Dark Place is set in a hospital where just horrible things happen. Garth Marenghi wrote it, he directed it, he starred in it. You have Dean Lerner, you have Todd Rivers, you have Madeline Wool, I believe her name was. She might be dead. We don't know. But it is fantastic. He came out, Garth Marenghi, quite an accomplished author. Terror Tome was the book he released, I believe, last year. Fantastic, about an author who gets into a psychosexual relationship with a demonic typewriter. And this is the follow-up. Now, this isn't technically a novel. It is 3 novellas, but they are all interconnected. So, you know, make of that what you will. The main character from Terror Tome makes his triumphant return, as does his editor in the novel. The author's name, the character's name I should say, is Nick Steen, who is a horror author, and his editor Roz also makes an appearance. With that said, I'm going to try and be as spoiler-free as possible. I'm just going to give you a brief kind of overview of each story, not letting anything slip, because you need to really go and buy this book yourself and read it for yourself. So let's get right into the next episode of...
Read a fucking book. 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 People.
Where do I start with this one? Well, naturally from the fucking beginning. That would make sense. You begin with an introduction. We also have a map of the town of Storkford. For those of you that don't know, Storkford was where the first book is set. Now, Nick Steen in the first book, as I said in the introduction, had a pseudo-sexual or psychosexual relationship with a demonic typewriter, and what happened is it caused all of these horrific images from his mind, from his novels, to basically emerge from his brain and hunt down the people of Storkford and maybe the people of the world. Now, we get an introduction written by Garth Marenghi, of course, which is phenomenal. And then 3 novellas. The first novella, called Portentum, finds Nick Steen, who is masquerading as a pilot, trying to kind of lure some of his dream demons or mind monsters out. And he gets kidnapped by Dr. Nullman, who is the head of Nulltech, a super secret research facility, who is kind of experimenting with what is known as the R complex. This is a thing that will come up over and over again. So what they do is they've kidnapped Nick and they hook him up to what is called the God complex, which is this box that heightens his psychic abilities, and they force him through different scenarios, and you get the idea of Nick's slowly growing powers as he's being used by these scientists. It's a really great character study of Nick himself and what he feels as he's being used by these people. Fantastic, fantastic story. The second story, Arabella Mathers, which in my personal opinion is not only the best story in this collection, but one of the greatest gothic horror stories ever written. Fuck off, Wuthering Heights. Arabella Mathers, this is where it's at. This is connected to the first story in that Dr. Nullman wants to read this lost manuscript that Nick wrote that was hidden away because he said it was too raw, it was too powerful. And it is really a father and daughter kind of reconciliation after the father, who happens to be a horror author, which, you know, you've got Garth Marenghi as a horror author writing about a horror author who writes about a horror author. Groundbreaking stuff. They get out of Storkford and they go to this coastal town where he rents a mansion to write his next big gothic horror story. His daughter Gwendolyn is with him. He has custody of her because his wife, ex-wife I should say, is off with her latest guy. She's an actress. And the people of the town don't like writers. And as the story progresses and the sheriff kind of gets involved, it becomes this really twisted ghost story. That was the washing machine. It becomes this really twisted ghost story, which has a really satisfying payoff that I wish I could tell you. I honestly want to just reveal the whole story here, but I'm not, because the twist in this is so fucking magnificent that it makes, I would say it makes all the stories in Terratome and the other 2 stories in this, it just pales in comparison to the sheer brilliance of Arabella Mathers as a gothic chiller. It is just a phenomenal story. I absolutely loved it. It needs to be made into a film. There's no doubt in my mind. Garth Marenghi needs to write it, he needs to direct it, and he needs to fucking star in it. And Dean Lerner needs to be the sheriff, without a doubt. That's the only way that film would work. The Randy Man, the final novella in this collection, follows Roz primarily as the main character. She meets one of the scientists in Nulltech where she's being held captive, called Mike Crisis, which his name is a play on words because he's shit in a crisis. And Nick has released a dream demon known as the Randy Man, a character from a series of novels. I believe there was 17 or 19 novels in the series, about this janitor called Randy Streak. Randy worked cleaning public bathrooms. Some teenagers assumed wrongly that he was a pedophile, so they drowned him in the toilet, and he came back to kill them. He wears a trench coat and a fedora kind of hat. And when he opens it up, instead of a dick, he's got a toilet plunger that he stabs them with, and it plunges their soul out. And Randy Streak, known as the Randy Man, has been unleashed onto the people in Nulltech. And Roz and Mike Crisis have to work out how to stop it, while at the same time trying to escape from Nulltech itself. Now, many of you are going to go, well, that sounds a lot like Freddy Krueger from A Nightmare on Elm Street, but instead of knives for fingers, he's got a toilet plunger dick. I'm just going to say, fuck you. Garth Marenghi did it better. The Randy Man is terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. And it's not just his toilet plunger dick. It's the fact that when he comes out into the real world, he can control pipes. He can spew effluent everywhere. He can basically control plumbing. He can force you into sewerage. It's just horrifying. Freddy Krueger, a boiler room and some one-liners. Nope. Randy Man did it better. Sorry, hate to say it. That's just my opinion, though. You are free to argue with me in the comment section down below. And, of course, like every good Garth Marenghi novel, ends on a pseudo cliffhanger, so I sincerely hope that he writes more. Okay, I'm just going to leave it there because I don't want to spoil anything else. I'm just going to say Merry Christmas to everyone out there, especially my good friends at Plaguelands Media, Mr. Ian Van Gammett, Dr. Luke Carmen. Merry Christmas, fellas. Had a great year this year. So, like, subscribe, leave a comment. Hit the notification bell, because if you don't, you might miss one of my videos. But overall, stay safe, have a fantastic holiday, and most importantly, read some Garth Marenghi, people.